Good morning, Bethel United Methodist Church family. Good morning, everyone. We are on our way to work. So, since this pandemic, I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a lot of folks out there that aren't just throwing little stones. They're throwing boulders at their neighbor. You know, oh, why are they doing that? Or why are you doing that? You know, and good stuff like that. And it made me think of what I used to hear whenever I was a young, rebellious 20-something-year-old. And it didn't sit well with me then, even though I know it was well-intended. But the whole love the sin but hate the sinner. Ooh. Yeah, I can't say that's my favorite at all. So as I started to go through and start developing a relationship with Jesus, I realized that's not in the Bible. Nowhere does it say that. Now, Paul does tell, the folks in one of his letters, hey, have a love for humanity. But he doesn't mean love the sinner and hate the sin. He's just telling people that, it was for that time frame. Instead, today we see a lot of folks throwing some stones, but it's okay, bless their heart. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I was raised in Louisiana for most of my life. So I have heard that term a lot. And I know that that's one of those slight of the tongue type, quips that people throw at each other. But, and I would almost rather hear that than love the sinner, hate the sin, because I can tell you what it did to me whenever I would hear these phrases, especially that one. That meant that whoever was telling me that, or whoever was saying that, was placing himself above me. They were placing themselves way above me, and that's all there is to it. That they loved me, but they, loved the sinner, but they hated the sin, whatever it is I had done. And I always found that offensive, because I was like, you self-righteous, sanctimonious, blowhard. And that was one of the things that always pulled me away from organized religion when I was younger, was that I felt like the hypocrisy of all of it. And then I started to realize, to some extent though, we do that as churchgoers too. Because as churchgoers, what we do is we place our pastors, we place the elders, we place all of them in the same division as the Pharisees. And I don't know if you know, but Pharisees in Hebrew means separate. So these are the folks who felt like they were separated from the folks. Jesus gives the parable where the Pharisees praise and says, thank you, I have done so many good things. I have done this, this, and this. And the little tax collector in the corner is like, forgive me, God. And that's not at all what Jesus wanted. He wanted us to love everyone equally. And so it is hypothesized that the reason why Jesus said love your neighbor was because he was trying to keep us from being judgmental, self-righteous buttheads. Because he knew we as human beings have a propensity to judge and be self-righteous. Now, I say that about the clergy and the pastors and everyone else because we don't allow people to make mistakes, especially if you're in that position, which is kind of a double-edged sword, because now, we're saying that we're supposed to love everybody, but if the pastor makes a mistake, if the bishop makes a mistake, if they misspoke, if they make a faux pas, we nail them and we get them. Because why? We hate the sin, but we love that sinner. So, my statement to you today, let me get my temperature check.
How you doing, Troy?
I'm
You got
good.
your heater on?
No, not really.
Okay. 98.7.
98, so no fever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my biggest thing that I want everyone to take away from this today is to look around where you have not allowed people to make mistakes, or if they did, and it could be well-meaning. Now, don't get me wrong. When people have said love the sin, hate the sinner, it could be very well intended. It could be letting the person know that I love you, but I don't like what you did. And that's a dangerous, dangerous play on words in what Jesus told us to do. Jesus told us to love our neighbors, to love our enemies. And how do you love your neighbor? You wish them well. You bless them. You pray for them. How do you love your enemy? You do the same thing for them. There's no distinction. So, as we look around in this pandemonium of this pandemic, the pandemonium of the pandemic, a lot of P's in today. Anyway, if you look around at those today, and you look around people, and you're just about to start throwing those stones of why are they shopping? Why are they out? Why are they doing this? Why aren't they wearing a mask? Why? Turn that why back and turn that microscope that you've placed on them back on you. And now, if you can tell me you're without sin and you've been doing right and you haven't done anything wrong, then you roll with it. But if not, shut your pie hole and pray. With that being said, folks, I'm here at work. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.